Alright guys, I've been working on a new project. It is a 3D printed suit of Iron Man armor. This is going to be the Mark 85, the last armor that Tony Stark wore in the movies. And today I'm going to be talking about what I've done so far, what it's taken, what I've learned, and some of what I'm going to be doing going forward to finish this thing up. Now this is what I've got printed so far. It's almost all the way printed in terms of which parts I still need. There are a couple missing, and I'll talk about that, but this is what I've got so far. The Mark 85, like I said, is the last suit that Tony Stark wore in the movies, and I actually really like it. It's very sleek compared to a lot of his older previous costumes. It's of course made from nanotech, so it can take a much more streamlined look because he doesn't need to be able to bolt himself in and out of it. Sadly, I don't have any real nanotech, so I'm using what's some pretty cool manufacturing tech in the form of 3D printers to make my armor. So far, the whole thing has been printed out of black PLA Plus filament. There's lots of different types of printers, there's lots of different types of filament you can put in the filament printers, and I went with the PLA Plus because it's supposed to be very good in terms of impact resistance. It's supposed to hold up well over time compared to, say, ABS. I guess it's a little less fragile, and I've just been printing it on 2 different printers and putting all the smaller pieces together. So when I'm not wearing the suit after it's complete, the plan is for it to hang on this lovely mannequin stand. Very fancy, I know. But before we get too much into that, we have to take a minute to talk about the sponsor for today's video, which is Raid Shadow Legends. Now, Raid Shadow Legends has taken over, and gaming will never be the same again. With hundreds of artifacts to equip and over 600 champions blessed with unique skills, you can build your team, develop your champions, and raid your way. The mind-blowing thing is that even after establishing themselves as a leading mobile and PC game, they didn't allow themselves to just rest on their laurels, and they kept adding new content and game modes every couple of months. The Doom Tower, which has over 120 levels, introduced a whole new world of new and terrifying bosses to slay. As a high-level collection RPG, Raid started with hundreds of unique characters and bosses, but that didn't stop them from adding more and more new champions. Last year, Raid added a whole new faction. The Shadowkin are a tribe of warriors from the Far East, recently liberated from the reign of evil. And of course, the Hydra clan boss with multiple heads. It is without a doubt the biggest, baddest, and scariest boss to ever set foot in Teleria. Raid Shadow Legends is really the perfect game for all player types. You can take it easy and play casually, but you can also dive in for hours and have an amazing time. And right now, Raid's running an amazing trick-or-treat promotional Halloween where you can win a bunch of prizes in real life and in-game prizes, including $1,000 Amazon gift cards and some of the best epic and legendary Halloween champions in Raid. The best part, it's all free and it's super easy. All you need is your Raid player ID. Just download Raid with my link in the description, then head to trickortreat.plarium.com, and to make that even easier, I linked that in the description too. From there, just enter your details and then spin the wheel to get your prize. That's it. Don't wait around though, this special event runs from October 15th to November 5th, and once it's over, so you gotta be fast. Please note, only new players can win a prize. You can also use the DK Rises promo code for a bunch of free items to instantly level any of your strongest champions to level 50. That's DKRISES. The promo code is available to both new and existing players till October 25th. So if you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen. You'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill and 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard, so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in-game. All of this treasure will be waiting for you, and it's just that easy. Just click the link in the description and join the game. Now, back to Iron Man suit. This is actually not my first time making an Iron Man suit. It is my first time using a 3D printer to make an Iron Man suit, but I have made 2 Iron Man suits in the past, both out of foam. The first one was made out of floor mat foam. If you saw my Ninja Turtle shell video just a little bit ago, it's the same type of floor mat foam. It's about half an inch thick, maybe a little less. It's got pattern printing on one side, and you just cut it into the right shapes, follow guides, glue it together, and paint it, and it looks kind of like armor. The first one I made, I think, was the Mark 6. It's the first suit that he wears after he changes from the circle arc reactor to the triangle arc reactor. The second suit that I made was the Mark 42. That's the one that he uses most of the time in Iron Man 3. It has a lot more of the gold color, which is actually more of a champagne. And that one was a lot better. I used a thinner craft foam. It had way more detail to it, and I was really happy with how it turned out. If you want to see any of my YouTube appearances in the Mark 42 suit, there's 3 videos I know of on YouTube where I make an appearance. The first is my friend's music video called Talk Nerdy to Me. I am a backup dancer. The second is called Superhero Soccer. It's a bunch of superheroes fighting against each other as they play a game of soccer. And the third is called Iron Man Shops at the Mall, which is on my friend's brother's YouTube channel and has well over 1 million views. And it's literally just me walking around the mall while wearing the Iron Man suit. So at this point, I don't think I've ever said that that video is me, but that video is me. So if you want to go check that out, that's the last one. But that suit being made of craft foam, it did okay, but it doesn't hold up wonderfully and it can only take a so-so paint job. So I really wanted to have a suit that would last a lot longer. So that's why I got into the 3D printing once I got a 3D printer. I really wanted to make something that's as cool as those other suits, but like taken up to another level. This right here is my first 3D printer. It is an Ender 3 V2, and this was graciously bought for me by one of my Patreon supporters, Rob Coulthard. So a huge thank you shout out to Rob. Without you, I don't know when or if I would have ended up actually getting a 3D printer, but because you got this for me, I was able to start toying around with it and felt comfortable enough that I was able to think, yeah, I think I could actually print a whole Iron Man suit. And so I got started just using this printer. And let me tell you, it was working great. There were a couple issues at the very beginning. The card that came with the machine was corrupted, so I had to get a new one and format it correctly. I had to tinker with it to get all the alignments set up. This particular model, the way it came, there was a lot of assembly. None of the arms are put together. You really had to assemble a lot of it. At the moment, currently printing and doing a very good job. It's making the back half of my left shoe for the Iron Man suit. The feet are one of the last things that I need to print on it. And I gotta say that it's been quite nice. I had to do some research looking around, watching some other YouTube videos on what software to use as the slicer for resizing things. More on that in a bit. But overall, I've really liked the experience. I did some small test prints. Once I knew that they were working, that's when I felt comfortable in moving up to trying something a little bigger. And by a little bigger, I mean a full suit of body armor. But this little printer by itself seemed like it was going to take a really long time to print out the suit. It would do it. There are people who have made entire Iron Man suits on one machine this size. But I was curious what the experience would be like if I had a little more help. So this printer, which is made by Creality, I reached out to them and asked if it would maybe be possible to try out another one of their machines. They were willing to send me this machine, the Ender 3 Max Neo. The print bed on this is noticeably larger, as is the height, and because of that, I'm able to print bigger pieces, and of course, I'm able to print 2 things at once. So those 2 things combined have really sped up the process. Assembly on this machine was way faster because it comes more assembled. This U-shaped top piece, it wasn't connected at the bottom, but that's pretty much it. You get it out of the box, you attach that one piece where it goes and put the screws in, and I think you maybe have to plug in a wire and attach the spool arm by just setting it on. But overall setup for this machine was like 5-10 minutes kind of thing, whereas the other one took me a couple hours because I'd never assembled one of those machines before. So really quick, almost out of the box printing. It has a self-leveling tool. On the other bed, I have to go through and very carefully adjust the base plate before it prints to make sure that it's going to be perfectly parallel to the print head. Whereas this one has a sensor on the side that will actually go down onto the bed, figure out exactly where it is all over. It'll do that in like 25 different spots, and it will remember the exact distance that the bed is so that you don't have to level it perfectly. It just adjusts for wherever the bed is. I think you can actually get that as an add-on for the smaller printer, but I haven't done that. It also has a filament run-out sensor right here, so if your spool runs out, it'll just pause your print and say, hey, you gotta switch out the filament, whereas on the other one, there have been a couple times where I wasn't paying attention and the filament did run out and it just keeps trying to go with no printing filament. Then you have a part that's just cut short. I haven't run into it being a problem, but this one also has motors on both sides of the Z-axis. The other one has one motor down at the base, and it raises and lowers this arm. This one has two, which will prevent what apparently can become a problem of that arm eventually wiggling or not being perfectly parallel as it goes up and down. Again, I haven't had that issue, but apparently it is something that can come up, and that does sound like it would be pretty frustrating. So, if you're picking between the machines, I mean, if cost is absolutely the biggest issue, go for the smaller one. If you can afford a little bit more, I would definitely say go for this one. It's so easy to just, I plug in the card and I say go, and then it's printing. Like, that's all I have to do with it, and it's been really nice. So there is actually one step that I had to get to before I started printing the pieces, and that is to get the files and get them to the right size. I'm using the Do3D files. It's an online store that sells 3D models of things specifically for 3D printing. These ones are not free, you do have to pay for them, but I thought they looked really good and had good reviews from other people doing the same thing. So that's the files I've been using. And they have had some updates and changes and upgrades over the time, and I have all of the different versions of them now, so that's fun. And it even comes with some accessories that I don't really plan on using, but maybe someday, like the version of the glove that has the infinity stones in it. They make a new one and it changes, and so you can do that version of it. Or he has the big rocket things that like expand out of his back. It's got the 3 arms on either side, and those can look really cool, but that sounds really bulky and inconvenient to walk around in it. So at least at the beginning, I'm not planning to make any of those. But after you get the files, it can also really help to size them to yourself. Now, I am fortunate in terms of this project in that the ideal build for wearing an Iron Man suit is pretty tall and slender, which I got going for me, for better or for worse. In this case, it's for better. But I'm actually slightly too tall for these files as they come, or at least I'm too tall in some places and not tall enough in others. So there's a program called ArmorSmith, and with ArmorSmith, you can measure yourself, put in your measurements to the program, and then you can go through and resize the files to fit your body. It will give you a digital mannequin that you can attach the files to, and then you can stretch and push and pull and squish them around until they are fitting your digital mannequin. So I did all of that, and it's worked out really well. So if you are looking to build a suit, I gotta say, I would really recommend getting ArmorSmith. There are a few things I'll be wearing underneath the plastic. The first is this incredibly high quality set of onesie pajamas, basically. It's a printed spandex of the Mark 85 suit. The idea is that if you wear this under it, anywhere where there's gaps or holes or stuff that opens when you're walking in the suit, you'll just be able to see more of kind of the same suit. So it should cover pretty well, but I'm not sure how well I like the coloring. This is a very bright sort of orangey red, whereas I'm gonna be using more of a cherry colored red on the whole suit. So after I paint it, I'll have to see if it clashes too much with this. If it does, I'll probably just switch for something black. In addition to the Iron Man PJs, I'm going to be wearing a harness, which is gonna be made out of this. It used to be a backpack, but I cut off the whole pack part. So now it's just a bunch of straps, which is exactly what I want. And other people have made their own harnesses, and that's a great idea. I definitely would not say that's a bad idea, but I just wanted something that had plenty of padding, because I'm gonna be hopefully walking around wearing this for hours and hours at a time. So I wanted shoulder straps with some good padding, waist straps with some good padding, and I can still go around and add stuff. So the purpose of this is that I can attach parts of the armor to it to hold it onto my body. So at this point, I am going to suit up as much as I have. I don't have all of the pieces of the suit, but I'm gonna put on everything that I do have, and you can see how it's looking and what's still missing. All right, what do you think? Pretty good Iron Man suit, huh? Basically done. Yeah, this is not an expensive suit. Look at the alignment. It's very well printed, as you can tell. But again, this is really just to fill gaps if there are any in the suit itself. So it's not the end of the world. I don't have my mic on now because where would I put it? For the time being, pretty much the whole torso is in one piece. And that certainly is not my plan and end. There's the codpiece as it stands so far. So that's where I am so far. I've still got a decent amount left to do. I've got a shoulder to print, a lot of the hands, my other foot. I have no butt plate right now, it's just open to the world. And little bits and bobs, like there's inserts on the inside of the elbows. I've got a back elbow piece. I think there's some back of thigh, I think there's some back of knee pieces. So a couple little things. And then of course I have to add all the electronics. Hopefully the helmet will open and close electronically. I'll have lights in a lot of spots. I have to get all of that situated, as well as making any adjustments that make it so I can properly move and walk around in this thing. And then I have to prep it for painting. All of that has to happen first because it can change what the physical shape of the suit is. I'm not used to holding my microphone, so I start moving my hand all around the place. Yeah, not a lot of places to clip it right now. So I have to get all the pieces printed, I have to work out all the electronics, and I have to do that all before I start doing any of the painting, because when I do those other things, it can move the shape. I might have to cut things off or sand things or heat gun them and warp them a little bit. So I got to get all that done. Painting is basically the last step involved. I am planning to have 2 more videos about the update of this suit. So make sure you're subscribed to get notifications about when those go up. And I'm really hopeful that it'll look very good. I should also say this is not going to be a step-by-step tutorial on how to do everything. If you're looking for a lot more instruction and a lot more detail, there's a YouTuber I've been following. His name is Frank. His channel is called Frankly Built. He has done an entire Mark 85 suit, and he's been working on other cool projects. He's got tons of info about 3D printing, about the machines, about how to finish it, about how to do electronics. I've definitely been watching and using several of those. Very useful stuff, tons of great content out there. So if you're looking for like every bit of information about how to do something like this yourself, check out his channel. I will be doing updates on how I've done things, but I'm not trying to do as much of a tutorial as he has already done. So he's got great stuff, check it out. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on part 1 of my Iron Man suit build journey. Like I said, hopefully there will be 2 more parts, and I'm really excited to get this thing just as cool as it can possibly get, which should be pretty freaking cool. Definitely excited for that. Thank you to all of my supporters. A very special thank you shout out to those of you who are supporting me on Patreon. Your support makes it so it's possible for me to do things like this. And of course, a very special thank you shout out to Rob Coulthard, who bought me that 3D printer that let me get started on this fantastic journey. All right, hopefully next time I'll have this in better shape and put all together, and I can do like some sweet dance moves in it, because right now I'm pretty limited. Everything starts to fall off if I really move around too much. Hopefully it looks good though. Pew, pew, pew.